Good afternoon, traders. All right, welcome to the webinar. This is Bruce at Bookmap, and this is the dxFeed Bookmap webinar, trading US equities with the data visualization from Bookmap. And the topic is get a competitive advantage now using Bookmap. I'll show you how to do that. And let's just go through the risk disclaimer. Trading equities, futures, and digital currencies involve substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. Okay, a little bit about me. 10 years of trading in a variety of different markets. Order flow specialist here at Bookmap, lead the education and expertise in order flow and market microstructure. You can reach us at Twitter at bookmap_pro. On YouTube, search for Bookmap, and then support@bookmap.com. You can reach us via email. Okay, so the topic, get a competitive advantage now. Big bold letters here, big bold statement. How am I going to show that? Well, I can show it very, very easily using Bookmap, especially with equities and right at the cash open and even beforehand. And I'll go through that in just a second here. But other reasons here, see all of the market liquidity, full depth of market using dxFeed to be able to read the order flow in both micro and macro structures. And because we record all of this data here, we're able to read the algorithmic activity in larger players. We can take a look at maybe some examples we haven't for a while of some Bookmap traders or trades they've taken. And then we'll get into live market analysis, and we'll set a few orders as well, okay, just to show you the one-click trading and the power of using it. Okay, well, the goal of the webinar, obviously, cover the competitive advantage, but also to be able to look at the Bookmap chart here and understand exactly what's going on, okay, what we're displaying and how to read it and how to use it to your advantage. Okay, and the overview here, dxFeed Bookmap, what is it? First off, Bookmap is a trading platform. We're software. We just have a unique way of visualizing the data. dxFeed is what connects Bookmap to all the US equities. It also allows for, or Bookmap allows for futures and digital currencies connection as well. Okay, we'll skip the poll and we'll go over the we'll go over this slide in just a minute, and let me just go through the competitive advantage you're getting now. We're going to look at, we'll start with Apple here and see if how this is setting up here. And we can cover this competitive advantage and just knock that out of the way right off the bat. It's something I really like looking at in Bookmap here. It's okay. You can see the advantage here. No question, but a lot of times we even see the market pre-data, which is even better. Okay, so we'll cover it here just because you'll see it with all equities. Here's the open, cash open. This is all pre-market activity here. Okay, so you can see volume, picks up at 9:30, always does. What's interesting here is the heat map. These areas here of liquidity. Okay, these are where larger players are already, you can see them at 9:30, where they are setting their orders. Okay, down here, they're on the bid. They want to be buyers in these areas. Okay, on the offer and where they want to be sellers, well, we can zoom vertically here a little bit. This is where they want to be sellers. 183, 184, 185. Always at the round numbers for the most part, you'll find the larger players. Okay, so we already know where they are. You can already map out your day at 9:30 when price is up here around this 182.50 or 65 or whatever it is when it opened here. You already know where they are. You can start to look for when price comes down into these areas. Do you want to be a buyer? They're buying. Well, you can see they bought into down at here at this 178 level. They're a little bit lower here, but they're back in at 178, and we can see the reversal already starting to take place. Okay, where are they on the sell side? Well, you can see them. They're right here at 180. This is a competitive advantage. okay, right off the bat. And this is not even the greatest example. We'll take a look at some of the other stocks as we continue on, but you'll note at the pre-market, let's just take a quick look at Tesla. Yeah, pretty similar. Here's a little bit of pre-market activity here. See how the 9:30 opened here? They were already here before, before 8 o'clock a.m. Eastern time. Okay, they were here for a very brief moment here, but they pulled. Here's another one. This one's pretty good. You can see. Usually, you see these lines go all the way across, or you can see them go all the way across. But they were in before the 9:30 open here at this 340 and 3/4 level, or 75 cents. Okay, which is actually kind of odd. They're usually at the big figures. They are here at 340. You can see a little bit beforehand. It's kind of bluish or dark blue area in here. Okay, so anyway, I just want to go over that and cover that pre-market. In fact, we can maybe go and kind of go back here and scroll back here. Yeah, this shows it better. Because the heat map has been changed up a little bit, but you can see the this around this 375 level here, 380 already. Okay, so you're going to see them down here. Yep, at this 340 and a quarter actually, and then down here at 340. Okay, so that's all just after 9 o'clock, in fact. All right, so let's go back to the presentation. And let's start to define some of the elements on the Bookmap chart. But first, we need to back up here and talk a little bit about market data. Okay, so traditional charts, you're really only looking at and accessing only about 10% of the data out there. You're looking at traded volume. You're looking at executed transactions that have taken place already. Okay, and that volume data is usually aggregated, like in some sort of bar, some sort of period of time. It could be volume, it could be ranges, doesn't matter. It's still in a period. Even point and figure chart, I mean, you're still looking at kind of a rotational period of time or price levels. Okay, so there's a problem with that. The aggregated data is really going to dilute what's happening inside that aggregation. So, for example, a 5-minute candlestick chart, it closes at 5 minutes, and you only get open, high, low, and close every single 5 minutes. You only get 4 data points. Okay? Well, what happened in between that area is really closed off to you. It's completely opaque. You just don't know. With Bookmap, you're looking at 100% of the data. Okay, it's not aggregated like that. Of course, we're looking at executed volume, but we're also looking at full depth of market in both the current and historical order book. All right, and we do not aggregate the data. We're showing just best bid and offer. So looking at the graphic over here, the foundation for everything here is data. Okay? Based on the data, we start to extrapolate information. Okay, and we start to put pieces together. What is it telling us? And then based on that, we start to develop knowledge. Okay? And then knowledge over time leads to wisdom at the top of the pyramid. Okay, but so market data makes a difference. Okay, because without it, it's garbage in and garbage out. So with dxFeed Bookmap, we're covering all the US equities. You're getting this full depth of market. And for those of you who don't know what this is, I will define it in just a minute. The low latency, there's servers around the globe here, so it's very, very quick. And then you also have some choices for the data feed. You can get NASDAQ total view and last sale. You can also get EDGX or BATS, or you can get them both together. Okay, and I'll go over those at the end of the webinar. All right, now, this full depth of market, well, we usually, before Bookmap, the way that you would be accessing depth of market or DOM is through your level 2 DOM. Okay, this allows you to see the auction. Okay, you can optimize your entries and exits and your trade management because you have lots of great information here in the DOM. You can see the larger players and the professionals. That's what they're using. Okay, they're really understanding the nuances here in the auction. Okay, it is an auction. Okay, That's an important distinction to make here. All right, so what are we looking at in a traditional level 2 dome? Well, on this side on the left, we have all of the bids. This is where buyers are lined up to buy at these price levels here. This is the top of the book. This is the best bid up here. This is Green Mountain Coffee Roasters. We have 2464 is the best bid. On the other side is the ask. This is where they want to be sellers. Okay, and we see it's at 2466. So the spread is 2 cents wide. And then here's the depth on that offer here. Okay, so now let's compare the dome or level 2 with Bookmap. Okay, so we can line these up and make sense of it. This is the top of the book here, that 2464 and 2466. Now we're looking at Apple over here, not Green Mountain Coffee Roasters, but this is the best bid. Okay, this is your level 1 data here at this 172.15 area, and then this is the best offer up here. Okay, this red rectangle. Okay, and in between here is the spread. All right, so that's your best bid and offer right here. Now here's your depth on the bid. Okay, these are buyers lined up in the order book. Okay, they want to be buyers at these specific price levels. Okay, we'll go to the next one, and here they are lined up on the offer. This is where they want to be sellers in these areas here, and then these areas here. All right, the big drawbacks and disadvantages of a dome, there's no historical view. Okay, when these numeric values change here, it's lost. Okay, we have no recording of it. Due to that, it's very hard to read, almost impossible to read some of the algos. It's very tedious and very taxing mentally. And then you're going to have to put together, which is very difficult, the structures of what is happening there. A lot of traders will start to remember certain areas where big transactions took place, and those would be kind of important points, maybe bottoms of the ranges, maybe tops of the ranges, maybe the point of control. But you'd have to make that up in a mental model in your own mind. Good luck trying to put that together into a macro structure. Okay. Now, the advantage is using Bookmap is we record all of that market data. Okay, and we record it with a quick graphical representation. Okay, so for example, looking at Apple again, here's our best bid and offer, right? This is our depth here on the offer, and then down below current price is the depth here on the bid. Okay, what we do is we take these areas of very high liquidity and we'll paint them into a heat map. Okay, so we see 3,600 contracts here, and it's this orange color. Okay, a little bit less here, we see 2,200 shares here, 1 tick or 1 cent above, and it's this kind of yellow or pale or beige color. Okay, so it's less liquidity. Here's the highest by far, almost 32,000 shares up here at 186.50. Okay, note the figure here, and then we usually see larger players at those figures. Anyway, that's what we do in Bookmap. All right, it's that graphical representation, so you don't have to worry about looking at all these numeric values any longer. You can look at the heat map. The heat map will do the job for you. And that's just in the current market window here. So when these numbers change and the liquidity changes, the heat map changes to reflect it. Where this gets really interesting is we record it and place it on the chart historically. Okay, now you can start to see all sorts of things that start to unfold. Okay, look at the striations in color here, for example. Well, what is that? That's the adding and pulling of liquidity. So we'll take a look at it in Bookmap, but because I can't here, it's just a slide. But we can see that it got orange here. Okay? And then it went down to kind of pale orange and then yellow and then this beige color. From this point forward, they were pulling liquidity. Okay, so it might have been like maybe 4,000 shares here, and then it's all the way down to 2,200. Okay, so that's what we're showing. This allows you to start to analyze the context of the intent of these sellers up here. Okay, now you're able to put it together with price and volume, right? That's where the key really is, putting this context together. Okay, we have high liquidity down here, and we trade into it, right into this area here. Okay, let's go forward here and define some of the other elements on the Bookmap chart. This is the same slide, just extended here and seeing more historical data. So let's define the other elements. First, we already know best bid and offer. Okay, best bid is the green line, best offer is the red line, and then it's recorded as well. Okay, so there's no aggregation, it's just best bid and offer going back and forth, no time periods here, right? The dots that you see here, well, this is volume that transacted on that best bid and offer. Okay, a green dot or bubble here is a buy order. Okay, they've taken liquidity off of the best offer. Okay, red dot is the aggressor seller that has taken liquidity off of the best bid. Okay, nice transaction here right into high liquidity. These buyers here are now long. The transaction is made. We see the big red dot here, and we actually trade through that area. All right. Well, now we can start to put together all sorts of things with that depth of market and microstructures. Okay, and that context that I mentioned before. So we kind of were, consolidating here, going back and forth for a bit. We broke down lower. We found sellers. Okay, we go sideways for a bit, a little bit of buying here, but we come back in and we just go sideways for a bit, and we find sellers again. So we're trending down here in this time frame, okay, or in this view. We find sellers here, hit the bid. We find them again, hit into the bid and through this high liquidity here. We come back up and test, but we make a lower high here, and we find more sellers again and drive price lower. Okay, and we have the context of where they're bidding and where they're offering. See how they lowered the offer in this area here, okay, with high liquidity, and see how the sellers took these guys onto these areas here, and also down here, trading right into them. Okay, so now we're starting to really understand what's going on in this auction. The appetite of the aggressors and the buyers here, how interested they are and if they stay in the book and transact. Okay, now we're going to look at this, and this is micro. It's not truly microstructure. We can really zoom in and look at nanosecond levels if you like, but we're looking at 30 seconds of data each vertical dotted line here. Okay, so it's just a low time frame, let's call it. Okay, not truly microstructure, but the key here is we can zoom out. We're looking at the same chart here as we were just looking at. Okay, this is the same slide here, or the same chart in Apple as we're looking here. Okay, now we have a much bigger picture context on the macro view and using the depth of market on that macro view. So we just saw a little downtrend in a bigger uptrend going to the upside here. Okay, so there was this little area in here. Here's that high liquidity, those 37,000 shares or whatever it was up here at 186.50. Well, here they are. Okay, and they've actually been in here just after the 9:30 open. Okay, waiting to sell up at these levels. Already tested into them once. It looks like it's pretty poised here to test into them again and maybe make new highs above the swing high here at the cash open. Anyway, that's what we're looking at here in Bookmap. In terms of micro and macro structure, you're able to use that dome on the higher time frames. Okay, now because we're recording all of this and putting these pieces together, we can start to understand patterns and a reversal pattern in this case on the macro view. Okay, we're looking at Disney here, and look at this high liquidity down here, okay, at 101, right? We see the sellers trade right into that area here, okay, and all the transactions took place. So all of these guys down here that were wanted to be buyers at this 101 level, they're long. Okay, look at the transactions that took place. Okay, now there was more selling pressure. They traded through that area, okay, but not enough to continue lower after that. We start to rotate back up. We find some buyers. More buyers. These same buyers here looks like they jump right back in at 101. It looks like they transact again here. Okay, they're long, right? And then we can see we go through just a little bit here, and we just kind of go back and forth here. But we start to see the green dots starting to come into the market here. Okay, and at higher highs, We're breaking these other swing highs here, and we're seeing even more buyers up in these areas here. Okay, we're looking to test up into this 102. Okay, buyers are taking control. Right now, we can start to understand these reversals and start to maybe combine this with previous knowledge of patterns, and we're truly starting to understand why these start to form as well. Okay, well, high liquidity here, trades through it. They're back in, trades into it, trades through it just by a little bit here. What's this pattern? We have a shoulder here, we have the head here, and we have a shoulder here. Okay, and this is one of the reasons why these patterns evolve. Okay, we see it all the time in Bookmap. And in fact, most of the time you do not see them come back in these areas here. They've gotten filled here, and there's just not enough sellers to even reach that area. And that's why you get kind of a higher low. Anyway, good stuff. Start to understand and piece together order flow and context to start to understand truly what's going on in these markets. Okay, and when you do, and when you see these buyers starting to step in at higher highs, you're looking for higher liquidity to transact. Okay, so now really starting to understand context of liquidity. For example, here's we can see supply and a support and resistance as liquidity here in a trend to the upside. Okay, so look at them layered in here. This is Facebook at 180. Okay, high liquidity here at the open, at 181, at 182, and 183. Very high liquidity up here at 183, 68,000 shares. And well, the transaction again took place here. Not enough buyers to take it further. Here we rotate back down, enough to find more buyers to start to step in, and they lift it above that area here. We are now trading above this area, and look at, they start to come in on the other side here. They were on the offer. Now they're on the bid at the same price level. So this starts to, you can see these striations and how nicely they're kind of lining up. You'll see it frequently. Here they are, and they transact up at 181. Okay, well, we go through it, and then now they're on the bid, wanting to be buyers at 181. Sellers over here, buyers now over here. We come back up and test into 182. Okay. All right, and let's go over, this is a key concept to understand in order flow is absorption, okay? And in this case, or almost every case, it's by the larger players. So they have the ability to absorb all sorts of selling and buying pressure. In this case, it's buying pressure. They're up here at 183. This is Facebook again, and we see that buyers are, we see the aggressors here lifting the offer up into these areas. They trade up into this 183 area here, massive transactions going off, and they're still here afterwards. They've completely absorbed all of the buying pressure. Okay, they're short, and you can still see them here, still providing liquidity at this one. It looks like 183 in a cent, or I don't know, a few cents. Okay, so if we can't find any more buyers, well, we rotate back down into kind of the middle of this range, and then down below that range, we start to see sellers hit the bid. Okay, sellers are taking control now, and they're going to try to reach some of these lower areas to where there's high liquidity on the bid, and they do. Down here at this 182.60 something, and then they're down here at 182.50. Okay, the figure. That's what I usually see the larger players at those levels. All right, yeah, there was 52,000 shares that were here. All right, here's another massive absorption here in Apple. We see there was 327,000 shares here. Trade right up into it, and look how we transact up here for quite a while, right? Buyers hitting into it, buyers, and then look at this, starts to wane. See how it picks up in these areas, and we see the really big buying up here, and then it starts to wane. We don't see as many buyers. We come back down lower again. We see them attack one more time, and we just don't have enough buyers. Okay, the buyers were over here. They're done. And then we start to rotate around and we start to find some sellers in these areas now, and they take it lower. Okay? So understanding absorption of limit orders, really, I mean, technically they cannot move price. They can just stop price, and they do that with absorption. Okay. Areas of exhaustion now, let's cover that. This is the opposite of absorption. And what that looks like here in Bookmap and how you're able to start to use this to your advantage, okay, is starting to see the lack of transactions, okay? For example, in the uptrend here, well, on these pullbacks, there's no transactions at these levels here. Okay, you can just see it's just the best bid. All right, no big red dots in these areas here. Okay, so, well, if there's going to be no transactions, the market can't just trade without having transactions. Okay, so we find buyers start to step in and move price back up into areas where it can transact. Okay, so for these areas here, when you start to see areas of exhaustion, you're starting to understand that, well, there can't be a market down here. There's no one really interested. So you're going to find people that are going to mean reversion type of traders who find an advantage down here in an uptrend, more buyers at these higher highs. Well, they know that they can buy it down here and then dump it off up here at the highs. Okay, and then you'll even find more speculators at these highs that think it's a deal here to continue to the upside. Okay, so that's how you get these trending environments. So for example, look at these areas here, more volume at higher highs. Okay, and then look at the higher lows in here, and look at the lack of transactions down here. Okay, it's all visualized here. Okay, you're getting all of this and being able to understand it here. Who's in control in these markets, and start to analyze this to your advantage, and then starting to set your orders. All right. And as earlier noted, we can also start to access algorithmic activity because we record everything here. So for example, this is ignition algo down here, very high liquidity on the on the bid side, what is it? Well, I mean, this is Amazon, so we're at $1,600 a share. So we have 2,700 shares here. Okay, and this larger player, he's in the market here for a bit. He pulls, adds his liquidity higher, and does that several times, and then stays here at this 1598.60 area. Okay, well, what's going on down here, right? Well, this is showing a lot of demand. Okay, when you have a lot of demand in the market, okay, you usually find that buyers are going to step in, and it must be worth more because there's lots of demand here. And we can see in our transactions here that we see nothing but green dots in these areas. Well, there's some red dots, but most of them are green, right? And look at these higher lows here. Look at the sellers on the best bid. There's very few transactions, very, very few. Okay, and you have higher demand here again. Okay, well, to me, this looks like they're the larger players here, trying to push it up through this key figure of 1,600. And they were here on the offer for a bit, but then they pulled. Okay, they pulled, and we see the move that actually went through. All right, so starting to understand now algorithmic activity. This has to be the same player, and it's most likely an algo. From one price level to the next. Now, we're reading here between each vertical dotted line here is 30 seconds. So we're very clearly seeing algorithmic activity, okay? But you don't have to be looking at sub-second levels here. Okay? It's just because we record their activity. Okay, here's another one, and this is every 15 minutes, in fact. And we can still see this algo working it. So here they are way up here on JP Morgan at 29,000 shares up here. Someone gets in front of it. They pull that liquidity, add it lower, and they do that several times here. Okay, so we're showing a lot of supply now, and that has an effect on price. You can see that price, we were kind of going up to the upside here, but when these guys started to come in, it kind of put a damper on the buying to reach that higher liquidity up here. Okay, so really starting to understand now, all of this kind of heat map and liquidity data, you just wouldn't see. You don't have access to that with other trading platforms. Okay, and now you can start to understand why this kind of activity occurs when you start to see, them on the bid like this, them on the offer like this. Okay, we'll bypass the news in Apple and Tesla from the same news event, and then we already went over this. This is pre-market here. Okay, same thing like Amazon. Here they are in the market at 1580, and then down here at 1545 before the market even opened. Okay, so you already have that advantage. Okay, so let's go through this because we already covered it in the beginning of the webinar, but just want to show you here. And this is the same slide here, just later in the day, and we noted that. Well, let's just go back one. Okay, the transactions actually occurred here around this 1565 area. Found buyers, and we found more buyers to trade through that area. Okay, what was this kind of resistance area kind of turns into support now, and they trade back up into this 1570 area here. Okay, so let's see what occurred here. Here's our 1565 or so area, and yeah, looking for this to go to the upside here. We get a deep pullback below that area, but it totally rejects. And we find the buyers here, lift the offer up into where? High liquidity, and you already had that information before the 9:30 cash open, okay, as a target up into this area up here around 1580. Okay, so pretty powerful stuff. Here it is in that pre-market at 1580. Okay, that's a really nice advantage. All right. Well, we'll bypass some of the trades here, unless you guys let me know if you want to take a look at them. And let's just jump into the live market and do some analysis here. And then we can also set some orders and look for some opportunities. Wow, not seeing any kind of opportunity right now. Really channeling right now with Tesla in between areas of high liquidity here at 345 and then down here at 340. How about Netflix? Let's take a quick look. Okay, the only stocks that I have open right now are Apple, Tesla, Netflix, JP Morgan, Twitter, and SPY. Okay, let's zoom out on Netflix. Very bullish here on Netflix. Nice. Very nice. Okay, here's that pre-market activity that I mentioned earlier. They were in the book already. And it looks like they transacted. All the way down, almost touching this 275 area here. Okay. Let's see, our point of control is actually pretty nice indication here in the point of control, which is the most traded area. And in fact, let me put that together, is right here, okay, this little peak right here. It looks like it might be up here, but not showing that as the point of control yet. And it's probably due to some of this volume here. Okay, so yeah, boy, it really does clearly look like that is the point of control. Anyway, what I like about this line here is this is where we broke from here. All of it, you can see pretty nice distinction here. All this kind of volume here, then we break out of it, and then we're accepting higher. Okay, so and we have a VWAP as well, historical VWAP, which is very much in line with that point of control right here. Okay, so anyway, we're accepting way above it. The pullback was to here in this kind of 1 or 284 area, and we're not able to make higher highs yet. Okay, we did here, but then here and here we're making lower highs at the moment here. Okay, so they're still here at over 10,000 shares up here at 288. And yeah, not really seeing much of an opportunity at the moment. Okay. And in terms of trend as well, I mean, lots of nice volume here at higher highs, as you can see the volume dots. Okay, but then it starts a little bit here in these areas here, but not too much, right? And then over here, it looks pretty bad. You know, we're making lower high, and we're not finding the buyers up here. Okay, so we're kind of rotating lower here. Yeah, I'm not really seeing much at the moment. It's kind of a pity. Let's continue on. Let's look at JP Morgan, and then we'll take a look back at Apple. Maybe that's starting to move a little bit better. Boy, not seeing much here either. How about Twitter? All right, Twitter seems to be moving. Boy, this was something happened here in Twitter. You know, we're kind of up for the day, right? And Twitter's just getting hammered here. I mean, we do see the volume pick up, higher highs here. I'm looking for it to trade up into this 3150 area here. Okay, well, let's set a few orders. Okay, this is the one-click trading using Bookmap. Okay. Let's take a quick look. Oh, I'm glad I zoomed in here. No, I really don't like it too much now because I'm not seeing the volume up here, and the volume at the peak, I'm looking for those buyers, right? Not really seeing them. In fact, I'm finding sellers here, okay, a little bit lower. Okay, so in fact, if we can get down below here a little bit lower here, I'm looking for the sellers to come in. We even see like 81, or 8,200 shares here starting to come in, exhausting again here. All right, in fact, let's just enter with market sell. Okay, and again, this isn't, you know, we're really not, this is not a trading room. In fact, I'm going to go back and read the risk disclaimer here so that we're just doing this for demo purposes. I want to show you guys this one-click trading. The risk disclaimer: trading equities and futures involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. Okay. All right, so yeah, looking at sellers here. Okay, so let's see if they can continue to hit the bid and maybe get down into this 3120 area here. All right, and this is the way I'm going to set my stop losses with the OCO order here. Okay, so I'm a seller here, so I want to be a buyer up above, and I'll set that up here. And then I also want to be a buyer down here, and I'm going to front run these 10,000 shares down here, okay, by a couple of cents. All right, so this is another advantage here. Not only do the one-click trading, it's just, I love it. It's fantastic. I can now start to understand all of my behavior because it's all recorded here, right? I can see exactly what my decisions were, why I wanted to be, a cover up here, or this is my stop loss up here. It's behind this high liquidity of 3150, you know, these 10,000, almost 11,000 shares up here. And I'm front running my target down here in front of these 10,000 shares down here at 3120. Okay, so that's my strategy here. I'm using this data here and this liquidity to manage my trades. Okay. And I would like to see it come up here and test into this area here, and then I'd I'd like to see the sellers rotate in at that point. But just by reading it, and I do want to set some orders here. That I saw the lack of buying up here. I saw sellers starting to come in. So let's see if we can just get this down a little bit lower here. All right. Any questions on this? All right. And let's go back and we'll take a look here at cover a few different things here. Yeah, I'm starting to feel the squeeze here on this one. Starting to find the buyers, but I'm going to hold true with what I got here. Even if I get stopped out, that's fine. Let's go over how you can get this dxFeed Bookmap, okay, for US equities. I'll put this into the chat here for you guys. All right, there you go. Okay, once you're at the website here, well, you can click on the pricing tab up here. That'll take you down. And then this is what you need to do. You first need to subscribe to Bookmap. It's kind of a two-part process here. You can get a Bookmap Global for $49 a month, or you can get this Global Plus, which includes the advanced indicators, for $99 a month. All right, so that's step number one. Step number two is you need to subscribe to Bookmap dxFeed for Bookmap. Okay, so you can get NASDAQ Total View or last sale for $69 a month. Okay, or you can get EdgeX for $59 a month, or you can also get the premium bundle of both of them together. It's $119 a month. However, there's a special where you can get it for the first month for $59. Okay, both of them together. The next month after that, it'll be $119. Okay, so this is where you can get it, and that's that. Okay, all right. So yeah, we're trading up into our now. There's like almost 30,000 shares or 22,000 shares here. They were 28 there for a minute. Okay, so we're trading right into high liquidity up here. Okay, we're seeing the battle rage on here. Okay, right at our 3150 area. Okay, so what are we witnessing right now? We covered this. This is absorption. Okay, now are we going to find more buying pressure to trade through that, or is that it? Are we going to absorb all of these buyers here, okay, at this price level? Let's watch and see how this plays out here. We're still hanging out up here, so it looks like the buyers are going to trade in, through this guy or through these guys here. Yeah, look at how see how these transactions. There we go. Okay, so it hit my stop, and that's that. But why I thought we would possibly trade through that area? Well, this was the activity we saw, right? They were hitting into it again and again and again here, nibbling away at this here, and then finally we see the break. All right, now I want to see how they flip the book here. We're seeing some great stuff here. They flipped the book. They were on the offer, now they're on the bid. Okay, and then we're starting to find sellers trade into this area. This area is an important area. Okay? And if I find enough sellers trade through this area, I'm going short again. Okay, in fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to set a sell stop. Okay, and it'll just take me into the market. Whoops, here we go. Okay, so that scenario is if we found the buyers, they traded through this area. Now, if we find the sellers, okay, they're going to have to trade through that area again at this 3150. Okay, and if we get enough, right, then all of this up here is going to be trapped. Ooh, it already filled me. Okay, it must have really quickly gone down into that area here. Okay, and let's see. Okay, looking for those sellers to hit the bid here. Boy, unfortunate, I got stopped out right at the top. Okay, and then let's set our OCO orders here for our stop losses. Okay, so I'm a seller, I want to be a buyer up here, and I want to be a buyer down here. All right. Another thing, this is with the Bookmap Advanced or the Global Plus that I just mentioned. There's a correlation tracker, which I like very much with stocks. I think it's excellent. So we can look at a correlated market here, okay? And let's add the NASDAQ. Since we're looking at Twitter, we're going to look at the kind of overall market here. Okay, and there is it. Where's our NASDAQ? There it is. Okay, and correlation is going to be. Let's make it this light blue. There we go. All right. So we're looking to see here, you know, if these these moves that take place here, do we see it also take place in the broader market? The NASDAQ's looking kind of flat here. Okay, we're back up to our entry here. Okay, and let's see if the sellers are still here in, I mean, you can see that they took it down below that 3150 area here, but are we going to accept down below it, or are we going to start to bust out above it here? You're finding a lot of buyers here. Okay, in fact, yeah, I don't like seeing all of this cluster of buying. We should see a lack of buying up here. Okay, like we were looking for over here. But here comes some, and the broader market is moving up here. Okay, so Twitter should be moving up here pretty soon too. The broader market is starting to sell off a bit. All right, so what we'll do here is I'm going to move my stop then down to break even. Okay. Okay, there's my entry point. You can see it with this purple line here, and my stop is now at that break even point. And why I'm being aggressive on my stop here is I don't like that buying that came in here. Okay, and if the sellers are going to take control, they're going to have to do it immediately here and drive it away from this area. So I'm not willing to take that risk and have it come back up and stop me out. All right, anyway, what's really nice about the one-click trading, like I mentioned, is now I've articulated my trading decisions here to you. I had a very tight stop here, but you can see it with actions. Okay, it's all recorded. All my trading activity has been recorded. Okay, so why I move my stop down now I know, and here it is, and this is why it's here. right? And why my take profit is down in front of this high liquidity down here, okay? And I haven't touched it, I've just left it down here. All right, let's see if those sellers can show up here. They need to drive it away pretty quickly. There's a little cluster of selling there. And we need to see a lot more than that, and we need to see them. They're starting to bid up in these areas here as well. All right. Well, anyway, guys, let's wrap it up here. Unless you have any questions, you've seen the one-click trading here, and what we're looking for, how we're visualizing, or how Bookmap is visualizing all of this data. That advantage you're getting here with being able to see that full depth of market even before the market opens. And then being able to start to use that to your advantage as well, just like we are here with this example, right? I front ran it down here. I wanted it to come up into this 3150, which would have been a much better entry, and I had a very tight stop up above it. Okay, so anyway, that was my trading decision, and it's still kind of playing out here. I would have loved to have gotten filled up here at this 3150 instead of down here. But wanted to set the orders. Anyway, let's wrap it up. You've got the link. If you want to try it for a month, see if it works for you. You can cancel at any time, and we'll take it from there. Okay? All right, guys. Yeah, have a good day, and we'll catch up with you at the next webinar.